Okay, imagine for a second that everything you thought you knew about it might just be, well, an illusion, a really convincing. We always picture confidence as that, perfectly put together person, steady gaze, maybe a practiced smile. It's everywhere.
It's the standard image, isn't it?
Exactly. But what if that image isn't strength? What if it's actually like a high-quality disguise? And what if real confidence, way quieter, maybe even a bit unsettling, and has zero to do with putting on a show?
That's a really interesting challenge to how we usually see, because our source for today's deep dive, this YouTube video called The Most Powerful Trait of Someone Who is Truly Confident, Carl Jung by Psychotic, it makes a point right away.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
It says that silence you might mistake for calm. If it's not genuinely coming from within, often kind of smells like fear. And fear, well, you can't hide that forever.
Okay, smells like, I like that. So our mission today really is to kind of peel back those layers, those masks, and explore what genuine confidence actually looks like.
Yeah.
We're going to use the insights from this source to figure out why what looks strong is often just fear, and how real, solid confidence. It's built from the inside out, not by adding stuff, but maybe by taking things away.
And what's fascinating is how the source just immediately goes after that outward show.
Yeah.
It suggests that stuff we often think is confidence, standing tall, holding eye contact, it can just be a well-lit disguise.
A well-lit disguise.
Yeah. And under a bit of pressure, if that inner calm isn't real, the cracks start to show pretty quickly.
And it even suggests this fear might not. It might not even start with us, which is kind of a wild thought. It could be inherited.
Right.
From anxieties our parents had, or warnings from teachers, or maybe that one time someone laughed when we messed up as kids. The source calls it an invisible guard inside our head, constantly whispering.
Right, this invisible guard. It basically becomes this internal editor, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Carefully checking every word, every little movement, every gesture. And its only job, really, is to make sure you never ever show doubt. Or, heaven forbid, admit you don't know something.
God forbid.
It pushes you towards this idea of being impeccable, totally flawless. So no one sees the actual human being under the performance.
And we just go along with it, don't we? We convince ourselves this whole act is confident. But here's where the source really hits hard. It calls this whole chase for perfection fear in a tie.
Fear in a tie, that's potent.
It really is. It's not just the catchy phrase. It completely reframes how we think about self-assurance. It means the very things we do to look confident. They might actually be undermining our ability. It just flips so much of the usual advice on its head. The harder you try to seem perfect, the further away you get from the real deal.
And if you connect that idea, you start to see just how tiring it must be to keep that facade up all the time. The source calls it an ego theater.
Ego theater.
Yeah, where it feels like so many people are just playing a role for an audience that probably isn't even watching.
Yeah.
That's not bravery, it's just constant act.
It's like you're giving this huge performance on stage,
Yeah.
pouring your heart out, and then you realize the lights are on in the audience, and nobody's there, the seats are empty. And the worst bit, when it's over, you just feel hollow.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much applause you imagine getting, deep down you know it wasn't really for you, it was for the character you made up.
Which brings up a really crucial question. If it's so draining and unfulfilling, why do we do it? Why keep performing?
Yeah, why?
Well, the source suggests this craving for external validation, for that applause. It's like a drug.
Okay.
It gives you that quick hit, that temporary feeling of belonging,
Yeah.
but it wears off fast. And then you need bigger doses just to feel that same little rush.
It really sounds like a trap.
Yeah.
Because seeking approval all the time, it sort of subtly rewrites your identity, like the source says. You don't even notice it happening. Every time you bend yourself out of shape to fit in, your actual self fades away. And the really ironic, most people you're trying so hard to impress, they probably wouldn't even notice if you were different tomorrow. All for an audience that's barely paying.
But then, here's where things take a really interesting turn in the source material.
Yeah.
It argues that real confidence, it isn't built outward with armor or performance. It's something cultivated deep inside.
Okay, so not outward, but inward.
Exactly. It's described as a root, a kind of silent certainty that stays firm, even when things get tough or people try to, knock you down.
Yeah.
And that kind of presence, it actually makes insecure people uncomfortable because they can't break it.
That's powerful. It suggests you could hear criticism, shrug it off. Or maybe even smile.
Yeah. Or acknowledge you messed up in public without feeling like you've lost all your dignity.
Wow. Or even say no when it might cost you something, like a friendship, and still be okay with yourself. That's a totally different level of independence from what
It really is. And the source points to this really profound, almost stark step you need to take.
Which is?
Killing the need to be liked.
Ooh, killing it. That sounds...
It is. And it starts by accepting something quite difficult. You probably don't matter to other people nearly as much as you think you do.
Right. We tend to think everyone's watching us.
Exactly. But the day you truly get that the world isn't holding its breath for your next move, that nobody's life stops for your wins or your fails, that's when you feel something weird. Not relief, maybe, but the source calls it vertigo.
Vertigo. That's such a good word for it. Disorienting.
Yeah, the vertigo of realizing there are no more excuses. You can do what you want. And if you fail, well, nothing happened. Not really. The world keeps spinning.
And that dizzy feeling, that's somehow the path.
Surprisingly, yes.
Yeah.
That's the doorway. It links directly to what psychologists call having an internal locus of control.
Okay, explain that a bit.
Basically, it's the belief that you are the primary driver of your life, your outcome, not external forces, not other people's opinion. It's the complete opposite of living in that ego theater.
So your worth isn't tied to applause, and your life isn't some endless show for others.
Precisely. You're the audience and the director.
Okay, but getting there sounds uncomfortable.
Oh, definitely. It means getting really, really okay with discomfort. Because when you stop chasing that outside validation, there's this emptiness that can show up.
Emptiness.
Yeah, no cheering crowd, no flood of likes online. It's just you, alone with your own judgment. And that's silent. It can feel unbearable if you haven't built up that inner trust.
That's where the tough questions probably start bubbling up.
Exactly. Like, is this thing I'm doing really mine? Or am I just echoing what I think people want? Or do I actually believe this thing I'm arguing for? Or is it just something I picked up somewhere?
And the source says real confidence comes from answering those questions honestly.
Yes, it's forged in those moments. Every single time you trust your own judgment over what everyone else seems to think, even if you end up standing alone.
That commitment to yourself, even when it's hard, starts a kind of demolition process. Is that the term?
That's it. You start dismantling the false self, the one you built up from habits, phrases, gestures you just unconsciously copied from others.
And that hurts.
It does, but not because the false self was so great. It hurts because it clung to you, like a second skin.
Mm-hmm.
It's the pain of shedding something you thought was you, but was really just an imitation.
Okay. But then there's this paradox, right? About admitting ignorance.
Ah, yes. The beautiful paradox. The source says the truly secure people, they're the ones who can say, I don't know, without their voice shaking. They're okay being a beginner, asking questions, making mistakes. They see it as like a chance to learn. Meanwhile, someone insecure will do anything to hide that they don't know something. Like admitting it is the ultimate failure. What a difference.
Yeah, quite a contrast.
Which then leads us to what the source calls the darkest paradox of real confidence.
Okay, I'm listening.
When you genuinely start living from that authentic place. Yeah, a few people might quietly admire you. They're drawn to the realness. But many more will instinctively try to pull you down.
Why? Why would they do that?
It's usually not even about you direct. It's because your freedom, your authenticity, it holds up this uncomfortable mirror to them. It reflects their own lack of courage, maybe their own fears they haven't faced.
So seeing you be free reminds them that they aren't.
Something like that. And when they see that reflection of something they don't like in themselves, they react. Mockery, criticism, maybe just general negativity.
And that's the moment the ego theater tries to suck you back in, right? Whispering, just...
Exactly. But here's the really tricky part. It's not about pretending you're unaffected. Anyone can put on that show. The real challenge is actually not being affected deep down.
How do you even do that?
It comes from understanding that their criticism, it's often just a projection of their stuff, their fears, their insecurities. It's not an accurate report on your worth. And likewise, their approval, while nice, can be like poisoned candy if you start needing to feel okay.
So at the end of the day, real confidence is kind of a renunciation. Is that the right word?
But that's a great way to put it. You renounce the image other people project onto you. You renounce competing in races that weren't yours to begin with. You stop that endless internal bargaining, trying to tweak yourself to fit the crowd.
Giving things up.
Yeah. And when you do that, the source says things can feel colder at first, quieter. It can be unsettling.
Colder and quieter. Doesn't sound great initially.
Maybe not. But that very quietness is the sign you're finally coming home. You're starting to actually listen to yourself, maybe for the first time. And you realize a lot of what you thought was you was just borrowed stuff. Habits, phrases, attitudes picked up along the way.
And this leads somewhere important, I bet. Less noise, more.
More impact. True confidence isn't chasing every little win or needing to prove yourself constantly. It's about seeking impact.
Impact over superficial victories.
Exactly. It means you don't have to fight every battle. You know you have nothing to prove. You choose your moves carefully, only when it really counts. And that power comes from having killed that desperate need for everyone else's approval. It's being strong enough that you don't need to constantly show how strong you are.
It sounds like a continuous practice, not a destination to arrive at.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. This cultivation, this work, it never really stops. The world is always tempting you back to the stage, back to that ego theater.
Right.
But in those moments, you get to choose again. perform, or keep walking towards that quieter and more powerful place where the only applause that truly matters is your own.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, the core message seems pretty clear. Real confidence. It's not the outward show. It's not chasing likes or approval. It's about building something inside, tearing down the fake stuff and getting comfortable with being uncomfortable sometimes, being authentic.
Couldn't have said it better. And there's this final key insight from the source that really, I think, nails it.
Okay, let's hear it.
True confidence isn't really shown in how you enter a room. It's shown in how you leave it.
How you leave it.
Yeah. It's not measured by how many people remember you were there, but by the deep sense of peace you have, knowing you could just disappear tomorrow without a trace and still be completely whole.
Wow.
That's real freedom. The ability to just do what you need to do or want to do without feeling like you owe anyone an explanation.
That really lands. It makes you think. Here's a question for everyone listening, maybe mull this. If tomorrow nobody could see you, absolutely no one, would you still be the same person you're trying so hard to project? Don't answer.